everyone, I'm MTF Print, and in honor of Gravity Falls Book of Bill coming out, I wanted to make a keychain of everyone's favorite little triangle, Bill Cipher. And to do that, we're going to start by saving our project and name it Bill Cipher Keychain. Very apt name in my opinion. We're going to start our sketch, generally in the front, and we're going to start by making just a triangle out of lines. And we're going to make it 50 millimeters wide. You'll see me hit tab to go over to the degrees and make that 60, so that way we have a completely equal triangle. Up to our dimensioning tool, and we are going to click on the corners of the triangle and make sure that they are 60 degrees from each other. So 60 degrees on each side means that top of the triangle is 60 degrees, making it 180 degrees, a complete triangle. Next, we're going to go to fillet, and we're going to select each side of the triangle, and we're going to fillet it to 1 millimeter, and we're just going to do that on all 3 sides. Now that that's done, we're going to offset the triangle because I want to give it a nice little ridge, and we're just going to make that just 1 millimeter offset. Drag up our little dimensions, that way everything's kind of tight in one place. Next, we're going to go to create, rectangle. We're going to make a center rectangle because we're going to make the top hat. So just get it wherever it looks good. And we're just going to make the brim of the hat at first. Make it about 3 millimeters high. 16 millimeters looks good for the width. Then we're just going to grab a regular rectangle for the top of the top hat. We're just going to make it however it looks good. And then we'll adjust it after that. Keep in mind with all of these dimensions and shapes, it's not set in stone. If you want to make the triangle an acute triangle or an obtuse triangle, or if you want to make the hat obscenely big or wide, you go right on ahead. It's full of fun. So we're going to grab our dimensioning tool and we're just going to try to thin out the top of the hat a little bit. And I actually made it thicker because I forgot what the dimension was. So we're just going to make it about 5 millimeters. And then we're going to try and line it up. So at first I tried to line it up off the side of the top hat. That didn't work out great, but then I figured out I can line it up off of that middle point of the center rectangle. And if we have a 5 millimeter width top of the top hat, then it should be 2.5 millimeters to get it dead center. And I figured that out after I typed in the wrong number. Because it's okay to make mistakes as long as you realize what they were and fix them. Alrighty, next we're going to start on the arms and one of the hands. I kind of want him pointing up to the sky and doing his little like finger gun thing. So we're going to just make the arm whatever looks about right for the length of the arm considering the size of the triangle. And then when making the hand, we're going to go to create, spline, and center point spline. And I'm going to speed it up here a little bit because it's all just creative art at that point. You just doodle around until you get a shape that you like, and then you can edit the nodes after that. In this case, it took me a little bit of going, but I got a hand I was pretty proud of. You know, that could be in a Disney show. Then we're just going to do the same thing. Spline, control point spline to make his little arm that I want wrapping around as kind of like on his hip. Kind of like he's discoing. He's a disco little triangle. And hey, if you like what you're seeing so far, why don't you go ahead, go down and hit like and subscribe. I want to make more of these videos and that really helps out. Next, we're going to offset our curve by 1.5 millimeters. Make it nice, look like an arm. And then we're going to go back and adjust our first arm, make it look a little bit better. You'll see me making some funny shapes. Just do whatever you feel like, make it look good. Adjust the second arm. Now we're going to start on the legs. So first we're going to create a mirror point using a line that is construction. And the construction hotkey is X. That'll come up here in a minute where you see I forget to undo construction. And you can do it two ways. You can either just hit X before you draw your line, or after you draw your line, you can highlight it and press construction on the tab button, and it will make it construction or take it away from being construction. So we just draw a rectangle. We're going to make it 2 millimeters. Give it a nice girthy leg. And then we're going to go back and do everyone's favorite control point spline, just to make a little foot. It looks a little bit cartoony, but it's not exactly tangent. As it is to think that Bill Cipher only needs one leg, he in fact does have two. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim that extra line off of the foot, and then we're going to mirror the foot off of the construction line. So we're going to highlight everything on the foot, get his legs, get the foot, get the bottom of the foot, go to mirror, and then select your construction line as your mirror plane. And there you go, he's got 2 feet. Then you just finish the sketch. Now we have one outline of a Bill Cipher. You can see I'm looking at his arm a little bit, seeing if I like it, seeing if I don't like it. I think I'm pretty happy with it. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight everything on the inside of the triangle, because what I want to do is I want to give it an outline for when we print it. So getting those little nubs is super important. We're just going to extrude that 5 millimeters, and that'll give us a triangle. Next up, we want to highlight everything else. So we get his arms, we get his top hat, we get the boundaries. And you'll see here, I actually miss the overlapping side of the hat. I'll go in and I'll fix that after. I only realized that when I printed out the test part. But as you can see, I extrude all of the outside features by 5.2 millimeters, so that way they have a raised edge when I print it out. And then here I am going in to fix the hat, so that way it's overlapping and it looks like an actual top hat. But you won't see that until the end of the video. Next up, we're going to start working on the brick pattern he has around his belt line. And this is going to be a lot of creative freedom. There's no uniform way to do this. And so whatever bricks you want, the width, the length, how many of them you want, that's all up to you. I just went with whatever looked good at first. And I kind of spaced them out diagonally, so that way they would never line up as a grid. They would always be like kind of uneven, kind of like brickwork. You can see here I do the middle. You just kind of look at it and be like, all right, what's a brick look like? I've seen bricks before, right? And there's the bottom. But I'm going to press D on my keyboard and dimension each line 1 millimeter away from each other. So that way that is uniform. And with this, we're going to use some rectangular patterning. You just go to rectangular pattern in the create menu. And you just change around your numbers, pull it around, make it symmetric. Again, a lot of experimentation on how you want to do it and what the outcomes will be. And I think this is always fun. It always really makes me feel good to just see how many of these I can fit into my model. As you can see, I kind of make sure they just don't line up grid-wise with the spacing. Even if it's ever so slight, I still want it to just look like slight brickwork. Then I have to draw 2 lines on the top to make sure that the grid pattern sticks and it doesn't just come up on the very top as like a webbing, and you'll see what I mean here in a second when I try this out. Because we're going to indent it by -0.4, and you can see at the top I'm missing the belt line. So we're just going to go ahead and finish up that belt line. We'll just make that 1 millimeter to match everything else. And then we'll go and edit our extrusion. And there we go, we've got his belt line. And that looks pretty good in my opinion. Next we're going to do the eyeball. And I kind of want to give him like a gleeful, happy eye. So slightly upcurved would be great, like he's laughing or really excited to do something just terrible to Maple and Dipper. So to start that out, we're going to go to create rectangle, center rectangle. And it's going to start out as a regular rectangle, and we're going to turn it construction after we place it. And that's going to show you that you can make construction lines out of pre-existing lines. And we're just going to make it however it looks good. This is going to be the boundary of the eye. It's going to make it a little bit easier for me to draw the eye. You see, I think I make it 10 millimeters by 12 millimeters. And I realize, oh, I need that to be construction. So how you're going to do that is you're going to highlight each of the lines you want to be construction. And then you just go over and press a little construction and boom, construction. So now we're going to start the eye. So we're going to go to create, arc, and we're just going to arc it up on the top. Do the same thing, but on the bottom, make it a little bit smaller. That'll give us our little gleeful look. We're going to make a slot, and we're going to kind of do an off-center slot, just so he's kind of looking up into the, I guess it would be his left. We're going to offset our eye just a little bit, and I end up changing the offset of the eye to give it a nice eyeliner effect that would actually print with an AMS. We're just going to trim it up a little bit, make it look pretty. And then we're going to start with the lashes. The lashes, I originally thought I'd use a rectangle, but I think you just need to use lines. And we're only going to do them on half, because we're going to mirror on that center construction line that we drew during the speed up. So we're just going to draw our little eyelash. We're going to make it about 0.5 millimeters. I don't know why it catches. Sometimes it will. You just hit escape, you get out of it, you do it again. Do the same thing. I believe he has 4 eyelashes. So we only need to draw 2. And then we're going to draw the bottom eyelashes. But after I was done, I realized I didn't like having the bottom eyelashes, so I just got rid of them, and I think it looked a lot better for it. But you can kind of line everything up, see how you like it. Because nothing is really dimensioned to each other, you can kind of move whatever you need around. If you were to dimension everything to directly reference other geometry, you wouldn't be able to move it around. So you can see here I do some of the eyelashes, and I'm just showing you so that way you can see if you want to do the eyelashes, this is how you would go about it. Same exact thing as we did on the top. You just trim off the excess, and then you're going to highlight every single... Oh, you see me make a mistake there. I accidentally trimmed it. That's okay. Mistakes are fine. You can just undo it later. You'll highlight every single line of the eyelash, and you'll see I even missed that eyelash line, and then you just hit mirror, and your mirror line is going to be your center line. Just make sure everything is checked, and there you go. He has 4 eyelashes on each top and bottom. And then we're just going to trim, and you'll see I mess up here and there. You can just undo it. It's perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Just trimmed where you got it. You can see right about now I'm starting to figure out, I don't really like that too much. So instead, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of the bottom eyelashes. So just highlight all of the lines of the bottom lashes. Just delete it, and look at how nice that looks. So now we're just going to extrude that by 0.2. Oh, look at that. That's a happy build cipher right there. It's complete without a bow tie. So we are going to click on the inner lining of the grid, and we're going to create a sketch from that. We're going to find our midpoint in the top of his belt, and you can see the midpoint from the triangle that pops up. And then you want to make that 90 degrees, which you can tell with that little corner, that blue corner that pops up on the left side of that line. We're just going to make a nice construction line right there for, you guessed it, a mirror. So to start out as bow tie, we're just going to create a triangle. Pretty much the same thing we did when we made the original triangle for Bill's body. So you just pick your midpoint of the construction line, and you just draw out a triangle. Doesn't matter what it looks like originally, because as you dimension it, you'll be able to change the parameters to fit whatever you need. You can see I hit D for dimension, and then I'm just going to make that 60. Same thing on the bottom corner. E for dimension, hit both sides, 60. We're going to fill it. Give it a nice rounded edge. I rounded it too much there. We're just going to give it a 0.5 fillet on each of the outside corners. Then we're just going to mirror our triangle on the construction plane that we drew previously. Yeah, it's looking kind of bow tie-y. We're just going to draw a couple of lines on the top and bottom just to help it connect a little bit more. That should help your printer actually make a bow tie shape and keep it connected. And you'll see I'll change the dimensions of it a couple of times, just to get what I like and see that it doesn't look too large of a gap. Now we're going to make our body invisible just so it's a little bit easier to get the bow tie highlighted in our sketches. And so we just want to highlight the entire thing because we're going to just extrude it out on top of everything else. So we're going to extrude. And we'll just test out to see where it is. Change cut to join in the tab. And then we'll just make it 0.4, and that should come out a little bit good. That'll be flush, so then 0.6 will bring it up slightly. So it'll join everything else, but it'll protrude past everything else. And there we go. That is one Bill Cipher with a bow tie. That is a dapper Bill Cipher. And of course, for it to be a keychain, you need a keychain hole, so we're just going to create a sketch at the top of his hat, and we're just going to give him a circle. We're just going to make the circle 3 millimeters. Finish the sketch. We'll highlight the circle, press E for extrusion, and under extent type, we're just going to go to object, select the back of his hat, click OK, and that'll carve a circle right through the hat. Now he can hang off of strings and keychains and stuff. Now I do want to point out that at some point I believe I made the eye and the body two separate bodies, so all you have to do is select both of your bodies, go down to modify, and combine. It'll combine those faces into one body, so that way you can export them and print them as one mesh. And that's our Bill Cipher 100% complete, so I'm going to throw it up to IRL me and I'll show you the print. Thanks, Design Me. Now here we have our finished Bill Cipher in all of his Bill Cipher-y glory. And he's a little keychain size. Probably fit in your pocket, probably hang off your book bag, do something like that. As you can see, he's got his black hat with a little hole in it. He does have the black eyeliner. I had to thicken out the eyes a little bit just to make sure the black showed up. I have a Bamboo Lab P1S with an AMS unit, so I at least know that'll print out okay with this, with yellow, white, and black PLA. On the back, nothing really going on, because this is meant to just be printed just like that. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this project. I really had a lot of fun making it. I hope you guys had a lot of fun watching it. I hope you learned something, or at least it helped you feel better about trying to design something like this. If you enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below of what you think I did, if you thought I could do better, if you had any ideas for something I could have done with the model. And thanks for hanging out with me. Yeah, it's pretty dope.